The truth is, a lot of your favorite players in the NBA are externally motivated. That's the missing piece from superstardom to greatness. There, you can talk about physical attributes, opportunities, eras. The one separator that all the, quote, GOATs have in common, they're internally motivated. Their competitive spirit comes from within. You've heard the stories of Jordan just creating beefs, just to add to that chip, just to add to that competitive spirit. Kobe, hell, he started beefs to add to that competitive spirit. But ultimately, as we know, both Mike and Kobe, they could be in an empty gym with no one watching, and that competitive spirit is still there because it comes from within. And I truly believe that in today's game, and it goes across all sports, it's not just basketball, that's the missing ingredient in why, hey, like Paul George is a really good player. He's a star player, right? But he's externally motivated, like most of these guys are. Saturday night, what we saw from Steph Curry was why he is one of the GOATs. He's internally motivated, right? That competitive spirit comes from within. All year long, we've heard about championship hangover, 4 rings, 2 MVPs. He finally got that finals MVP. There's nothing left to prove. These guys, they're not hungry no more. But Saturday night, Steph said, enough is enough. My shit comes from within. I'm internally motivated. I don't care what I've done. I'm not done yet. That means we're not done yet. What a performance from the chef. And what do we want to call this? His second prime? You know, and the other element of this situation, I think, is Draymond Green has long been considered the soul of the team, the emotional leader, the heartbeat. Rightfully so, he has been. But this is a different situation, and this is a different roster. We know what happened at the beginning of the year. We know that Draymond has robbed himself of some of that equity. I think with this roster, this team, the divide between the youth and the vets, not only has Steph got to be the system and the be-all on the court, this may not be fair to ask of him, but he too has to be the emotional leader and the heartbeat of this team in order for these young guys to come along and buy in for the ride. They're going to follow Steph. Who wouldn't? Draymond, I don't think that that's the case, and we know why at this point in time. If we want to go into the details of this Milwaukee matchup, you have to lead with no Giannis, no 2-time MVP. Does he have 2 as well? He does, right? And so that obviously changes the equation. However, the context being the Bucks still the best record in the league and have run through, everybody without Giannis. At first it was the ankle, now it's the wrist. So they're still a very competitive and legit team. I really like their roster. All warrior type of players as well, right? But styles make fights, and obviously you take Giannis out of the equation. I think the other element that helped them defensively in that game was, listen, Milwaukee, they don't have blow-by guys. And what I mean by that is ultra-quick, athletic perimeter players that blow by you into the paint. Those are the type of offensive players that really break down this Warriors defense. And when you look at Middleton, Drew Holiday, obviously Lopez is a big, but right, they're scorers. They're more big body guys that like to probe and use their size and strength to get to their shots. And I think the Warriors are better adept at handling that when you look at our age and stuff like that. So I think that helped the situation, right? And then you have the little stories within the story. Looney, always a little pep in his step against the Bucks. Dante, his former team, he was dialed in. What did he hit? 6 threes. The other really good sign from that game was the Warriors dominated the glass and therefore dominated the second chance opportunities. And, you can make the argument that was the difference in the game. The rebounding and the second chance points. But more times than not, especially when it's a smaller team going up against a big team, when they win the rebounding battle decisively like that, that's a sign of hunger and effort. They wanted it more, as cliche as that sounds. They won the 50-50 balls. So that's what you want to see at this point in the season. The other storyline being Jordan Poole had a seat in crunch time and in overtime. And I think a lot of Dub Nation was like, it's about damn time. Right? And look, I'm going to dedicate a video just to Jordan this week and where he's at right now in his game. But I think right now is a time where you got to go with who's performing, not who's supposed to perform. And so I thought that was a big element of that game. But you know who was kind of the unsung hero Saturday night? I know everything was overshadowed by Steph's performance, as it should have been, but how about JaMychal Green? How about J-Mike, as Fitz has been calling him, right? Has looked a lot better since he came back from, what did he have, staph infection or something like that? What I think we're learning about JaMychal Green is I think he needs bigger chunks of minutes. I know no one's been calling for more JaMychal minutes. I understand that, but it's an issue I think that we're having with this young bench and this different bench. When you look back to yesteryear in the dynasty of the veteran bench that we had for so long, and even in the beginning, Barbosa, Mo Spates, S-Dot, David West, these veteran guys, a big element of what they provided was no matter what type of window of opportunity they got in a game, they were able to play well. They know their own games, and they could come in and right away contribute. And when you look at Jordan, who clearly is a volume player, Moody might be as well. We don't know enough about Moody, but I think that's the case with JaMychal. Like giving him 7 minutes, I'm not sure he can perform in that little of a window. He needs to get a lather and a sweat, and you've seen over the last month, when you give him a little more minutes in a longer runway, if he gets a rhythm, he all of a sudden can turn into that stretch 4 we hoped he was going to be when we signed him in the first place. And so now at this point with Kuminga and Wiggs, all this stuff, you really have no choice, right? Their hand is forced to play him, and it's paying dividends just in the nick of time. Now, Kuminga, I know you guys saw the ankle roll. That looked pretty bad, man. That, like, to me, I said, okay, if you're 30 plus, that's probably a month off, right? He's 20 years old, I'll say 2 weeks, but apparently he's out of the boot and he's questionable even tonight against Phoenix. So that's a blessing. Obviously, and everybody responds differently to ankle rolls, and it looks like Kuminga's pretty damn durable. But yeah, I think JaMychal and back to this Poole situation where listen, again, we're gonna dive into what's going on with him. But if he is going to defend the way that he's been defending, I don't see why Moody can't get an opportunity. And a bigger body, more physical, a better rebounder, and there's not all mistakes are created equal. And again, we'll talk more about Poole later. But yeah, man. Every win counts, and this is exactly what the NBA wanted, right? We've got March Madness in the NBA for half the league, and so it's one game at a time. The war of attrition has started early here, but Steph, that internal drive to be great, regardless of him already being etched in stone on, the Mount Rushmore of guards, I think he flashed that Saturday night, and it was kind of an enough is enough performance, but he's going to need help. He's going to need guys to commit to the defensive end, and I think he's got to be the leader, the emotional, vocal leader, not just the system offensively. The Suns tonight, obviously, no Durant. He still hasn't played at Chase. That this is, it's kind of like I'm wearing my Niners beanie. These division games, regardless of the scenario, there's kind of a built-in rivalry where they're always close, regardless of where the teams are at. So you imagine this is going to be a competitive game, but you got to like the Warriors at home. I'll be back with that breakdown on Patreon tomorrow, and then I've got a bunch of stuff planned here on YouTube this week. So as always, hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.